Hello, my name is Hugo and welcome to Hugo's Desk. Today, a very special video. I'm going to talk about how to apply for a job in the VFX industry. We'll discuss how to make a great showreel, prepare for an interview, how to network and get more contacts. Also going to discuss how to update yourself and everything in between. Going to share some tips, insights, and above all, some knowledge that I gathered from working in the industry for 20 years. Over this time, I've interviewed, vetted, and also hired dozens of people in the industry. In this video, we're going to go over 12 points to help either jumpstart your career or keep growing in the VFX industry.
Do it! Just do it!
But first, this video is brought to you by my friends at ActionVFX. By far my favorite place to get stock footage. Select from a huge range of high quality footage on their original formats. Not only are you going to have access to the pre-keyed footage, but you also have access to the raw RED file. This means you have all the dynamic range and resolution from the shoot itself. Make sure to visit actionvfx.com for more information, and don't forget to check out this week's Black Friday sales. Now back to the video. So you've seen Jurassic Park, Star Wars, The Matrix, Avengers, Ex Machina. It doesn't matter which one. And you saw a great film and you want to be part of this industry. But it can be very overwhelming. Where do I start? Point number one, should I get a degree? Well, yes and no. In fact, I think you should at least learn some core skills. This industry is like the perfect combination of art, technology, creativity, and math. It's important to understand the many disciplines, including photography, composition, light, color. These topics will help you to be a better artist. You should also study cinema, maybe even do a photography course. Learn about lenses and cameras, and in fact, you should just go ahead and buy a DSLR camera or a mirrorless camera and start taking photos right away. Think about it. How can you expect to make photoreal VFX if you haven't learned about photography in the real world? This will teach you about atmospherics, about light, about shadows. It will develop your eye for detail. Learn from the great masters, people like McCullen. Learn from Eisenstein. Study the work of Kubrick. Look at Francis Ford Coppola, Bergman, Orson Welles, Fritz Lang. These films advanced the technology of matte painting, miniature photography, and set extensions. Look at Hitchcock, Saul Bass, Tarkovsky, Fellini, and the three Davids. David Cronenberg, David Lynch, and David Fincher. If you want to be the best, you need to learn from the best. Point number two, can I learn everything from YouTube? No, you can't, I'm sorry. YouTube has a lot of funny videos and some good tutorials, but how do you really know if they're good enough? When you type compositing or VFX on YouTube, you get hundreds of channels. And this is just the three first pages. How the hell do you even know which ones are good? This is a major problem in the industry. But I have a solution. You just need to research the channel, find who's the creator, check if they have a website or any social media presence. Look them up on Internet Movie Database. A quick search will probably tell you if this person has been working in the industry or not. A quick search on LinkedIn allows you to see if they have the experience required to teach you. And remember, if you can't find the name of the creator, that's probably kind of a bad sign. So in the end, although YouTube is great, I will really advise you to invest in professional training. From places like FX PhD, Scape Studios, National Film Television School. Learn from people like Steve Wright, Alan McKay, Victor Paris. All these sites have enormous amount of professional training available. And if you're interested in compositing, you can always sign up to my complete Nuke online course. I run it on Kickstarter every 6 months. Point number three, make a showreel. So you've done the courses and now you know visual effects, right? Well, this is only the first step on a long journey. Now it's time to make a showreel.
Yesterday, you said tomorrow, so just do it! Make your dreams come true! Just do it!
This is like your calling card. It's by far the most important part of pursuing a career in VFX. And remember, your showreel needs to respond to the job offer. So for example, if they're asking for a junior compositor, you need to focus in rotoscoping, showcasing the alpha channels. Try to key difficult shots with a lot of motion blur. Make it as hard as possible because it will be even harder in a company. Make sure also you have some paint work, get some wire and rig removal. And don't be too worried if you don't have any CG. No one is really expecting you to have CG when you're a junior. In fact, you probably will only composite CG when you're like mid-level compositor anyway. If you're a 3D artist, focus in either specializing on one task or focusing your attention to be a generalist. Depending on the company and the position you're applying to, maybe you need to make a modeling showreel with turntables, wireframes, and topology. If you're applying for a lighting position, focus in product photography. Try to mimic marketing or studio setups. Look at pack shots done from the best photographers in the world. If you're doing an animation showreel, focus on core aspects like walk cycles, running, talking, full body acting. Focus on showing emotions. Study the great comedy masters like Chaplin, Buster Keaton. Look at 2D animation as an inspiration. On the other hand, if you're applying as a generalist, then make sure your reel has everything of the above. Please note these are just a few examples. There's so many other types of showreels. You have showreels for rigging, for effects, for TDs, for texturing. If you have a question about this, just feel free to leave a comment below. Do not forget to put your name, telephone, and email both at the beginning and at the end of the showreel. Skip all these fancy intros. There's no point of it. You might run into the risk of being skipped. Remember, we watch dozens of reels in a row. There's a lot of competition out there. Do not make it longer than 2 minutes. Life is way too short and no one is going to watch anything longer than that. And remember, whatever you do, you need to start with your best shot. It has to be your absolute best thing you've ever done. You want to impress from the get-go. You need to understand if you don't grab the attention of the recruiter or supervisor in the first 20 seconds, they might skip your showreel to the next one. And if you have any shots that you're a little bit unsure of, then you probably should remove them from the showreel. Always kill your darlings. No matter how much work you put into these shots, the bottom line is the showreel has to just have your best work. Please try not to use any trance, metal, or offensive music. You never know who's gonna listen to your showreel. Don't forget it will be viewed by recruitment before it reaches any artist. If someone finds something offensive on your showreel, they might skip it. You don't want to risk this. And let me tell you a little secret. We usually don't listen to the music anyway. During all my years at the mill as the head of Nuke, I reviewed hundreds of showreels. I don't think I've ever had the sound on any of them. To be honest, for me, it becomes a distraction. I prefer to just watch the VFX shots in silence, and it's just so much better. And I'm not alone on this. Most VFX supervisors told me the same. So you see, there's no point of trying to synchronize the music with the images. Just try to make a simple showreel with your work. You can, of course, have 2 showreels. You can have a commercial showreel with all the cool music and all synchronized with the action for example, your public website. But always have a normal and more simple showreel for the actual job application. The only exception, of course, would be an animation showreel. On that situation, having music and sound will really, of course, help you better judge if the shot has good lip syncing with the dialogue, or even if it has a dance routine, for example. Make sure the breakdowns are fast. Only show the fundamental changes. No one needs to see every single color corrector, every single AOV. We only need to see maybe 5 or 6 steps of the most important sections of your shot. Make sure to check the showreel in the biggest screen you can find. Try to watch it on a 15-inch screen if you can. You need to check all those little small details, go deep into your showreel. Remember, most VFX shots are watched on the cinema. Make sure your shots can live up to that size. 1 pixel on an 11-inch screen is not the same as 1 pixel on a 15-inch. Show your showreel to other people outside your friend circle. They will, of course, love your stuff no matter what. They always love everything. You want to show it to people that can give you positive criticism and constructive feedback. Maybe consider going to LinkedIn and see if you can get some feedback from some professionals. But please try not to be a pest. Last thing you want is to send hundreds of emails. I can tell you from personal experience, I get hundreds of messages on Facebook, on LinkedIn per day. Just look at this. This is only 3 months of messages. Don't expect us all to reply. Sometimes we're a bit busy. And don't just show your showreel to your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your mother. Of course, they're gonna love it. They're gonna think it's amazing, but it's probably not gonna be that amazing. Please try not to use multiple fonts. This is not a circus poster. Make sure the breakdown text is small and in the corner. Don't make it huge. You don't want to block your shot. I know this sounds silly, but don't have any planet Earth shots, please. You know how easy it is to render a sphere with some texture from NASA? I've seen thousands of Earths on so many showreels. It's not worth it. I would also suggest limiting the amount of dragons, weapons, tanks, sexy figures. Instead, try to add mundane things to your showreel. Show me normal, regular, boring objects that you can find on your world around you. Try to make a cell phone look completely real, or make a photoreal bottle of water, or any other prop for that matter. To be honest, the majority of your time in VFX is going to be building real objects. You're not always going to be doing cool stuff. I mean, sometimes you will, but other times you're just going to be making props in the background. Okay, so now you have your showreel ready, right? And you notice that you're always asking for experience on job offers. And you're thinking to yourself, how can a student have experience? Well, it's easy. Why don't you try to get together with your friends and maybe film something? Here's some photos of my students and me making a short film. Find someone with a camera or maybe even rent equipment together. You can split the cost by 10 people. It's going to be a lot cheaper. And it will also be just like a VFX company. We always work as a team anyway. This will not only allow you to have higher quality assets, but it will also help you to work good with others. And do not underestimate the power of good stock footage. It can really level up your VFX shot, especially if you're a junior. If you're a junior, you probably can't afford any fancy renders, you don't have access to a render farm, you can't really make really huge simulations, so stock footage can really be your advantage to make the shot look incredible. And by the way, don't send your showreel just to your favorite companies. Always send it to every place you can find. The more, the better. Make a full list of companies and then start going through them by order of preference. You need to understand that it's better to have a job on a second choice than not have a job at all. And also maybe think about this. Maybe you can start small and grow inside a small company, develop your showreel, and then have a better version with more professional work. And then you're ready to send that showreel to the company of your dreams. Do you really think I got a job at the mill right away? No. In fact, I sent a showreel to the mill almost every year. But once I had more experience and I had a better reel with production shots, then they called me. It could take months or years, but just keep sending and improving your showreel. Point number 4, how to impress on an interview. First of all, you should always make sure you know where the company is located. Last thing you want to do is call the company saying that you're going to be late because you can't find the place. Make sure you arrive early. If you have time to kill, don't go to the company yet. No one wants you to be there too early.
A wizard is never late, Frodo Baggins. Nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.
Why don't you go and try to find a coffee shop nearby? Maybe get a cappuccino, heck, maybe get a frappuccino, or even maybe an Al Pacino.
Huh? What happened with coffee? Did I miss a fucking meeting with the coffee? Huh? You can get every other flavor except coffee-flavored coffee. They got mochaccino, they got chocochino, frappuccino, cappuccino, rappuccino, Al Pacino. What the f***?
Jokes aside, don't be late. Also, try not to use too much perfume or too much aftershave. I know this might sound ridiculous, but maybe, have a shower before. Remember, you're gonna be inside a room for 30 minutes on an interview. No one likes BO. And by the way, have you noticed how many VFX companies have branded mints? Weird, right? Make sure you research what the company does. You'll be surprised how many people go to a company and they're applying for and don't even know what they do. If you know someone inside the company, make sure you name drop, because that's actually going to help recruitment. They can ask this person if you're reliable, or if they can even ask if they can vouch for you. Always have an offline version of your showreel. Don't depend on Vimeo or YouTube, because sometimes you might not have Wi-Fi, you might have very poor signal. Always have the showreel maybe on an iPad or a laptop. I would skip the phone. The screen is a bit too small to show your work. And please let them talk first and have questions to ask. In fact, maybe bring questions with you. Maybe even ask for a tour of the facility. Make them feel you're really interested. And don't forget, they will ask you about your rate or salary, so do make research before you go. Have a specific number in mind, then make sure you add 15 to 20% on top so you can have some room to negotiate. And be realistic, only ask for the current rate. It's really important for you to not make any excuses in your showreel. When you're showing it, don't say stuff like, oh, the shot wasn't finished because it crashed, or the shot wasn't good enough because my colleague in CG wasn't very good. Don't say stuff like that. Remember, your showreel is your responsibility. Try to be positive. Tell them exactly what you've done in the shot. Tell them about your team. In fact, make sure you don't say, I've done everything, because you probably haven't done everything. There's always someone else that worked on the shot. No one knows everything. Visual effects is a team effort. And in fact, if they can see that you work with other people well, it's probably going to be more likely they hire you. Make sure you talk about your other skills. If you do some music, maybe if you paint, if you play some video games, it's important to explain that you do other stuff. It makes you look a bit saner. You don't want to just be the guy that just says, I love VFX, I love VFX. We all love VFX. Number 5, should I promote myself? This is a tricky one. I know a lot of you don't like Facebook or Twitter, but I can guarantee you that these days you have to have an online presence. These platforms are fantastic to promote your work and of course to network. If you don't like them, you can just do what I do. You can just skip all the personal stuff and only use it for work. They're extremely powerful to show, renders and comps and breakdowns. It's a great way to build a community and maybe even have some followers that enjoy your work. You should also go to conferences to network. I know it's expensive, but there's always probably a conference nearby in your country. And don't worry, don't be shy, because if these people are at the festivals, talk to them, approach them, talk to recruitment, exchange cards. Number 6, film or commercials. You need to keep in mind that they are both very different. In film, you'll probably feel a bit more like a cog in the machine since it's just a big group of people trying to achieve a final result. If you're a very creative person, you might feel a little bit chained, but you need to keep in mind that unfortunately not all of us can be creative. Otherwise, imagine a project with 300 people would be chaos. On the other hand, on commercials, you might have a more creative approach and participate in the development of the project and the ideas. This is, of course, if the client allows you to do that. I would say that both have good things and bad things. Consider this list, for example. In commercials, the pros, you have often more creative work, you have generalist tasks, you have shorter timelines, more variation in projects, often more money because you're a freelancer, and of course a smaller team. On the other hand, you have shorter deadlines, you have direct client interaction, a lot of last minute changes, less job security because you're a freelancer, so it's shorter contracts, and often a lot of overtime and a lot of stress. If you look at film, the pros would be that you have longer deadlines, more time to breathe, probably no client interaction, you're probably often working with high-profile projects, you maybe even have credits in a film if you're lucky. You also have a lot of seniors around to learn from. You're going to be working in a full visual effects pipeline and of course a large team. And you'll have more job security since you probably will be staff or a permalancer. On the other side of the coin, you're probably going to have less creative work, you're going to be probably feeling more like a cog in the machine, it will be very specific tasks, fewer variations in project, you'll probably earn less money since you have a longer contract. And you probably already noticed on the list, there's one thing that happened in both film and commercial: last minute changes. Number 7, I got a job, now what?
Some people dream of success while you're gonna wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible.
So you went through all these steps and now you have a job. Well, now you need to keep it. Understand that you have to deal with client feedback, producers, and a lot of times they will ask you to make things you might not want to do. There will be disagreements, but always try to remain cool, be calm.
What do you want? What do you want?
It's not that simple.
What do you want? God damn it. What do you want?
I have to go.
Because, they're paying your salary and you're not working for yourself. You're working for them. The client will never know what they want until they have it. That's just their job. This is the reality. You'll never be able to change this. I think you should embrace this because this will never change. This is how the creative process goes. A lot of times you're gonna have to try multiple things to just go back to the beginning. And I can guarantee you that if you were doing your own film, you would have done the same thing. Number 8, should I read my contract? Whatever you do, don't feel forced to sign your contract without reading it carefully. Maybe even get a lawyer to have a look. You need to understand that there's always small print that might not help you in the long run. Keep in mind that the company is probably always going to be looking out for themselves, not for you. No company is really going to only care about you. They have to care about profits and about their shareholders. That's just a reality. You're just an employee, so you need to make sure you read the contract. If there's anything there that you don't like, maybe, talk to them. You can probably try to negotiate. Don't be afraid of that. It could be just a simple misunderstanding, or it could be something the company doesn't mind changing. Never forget that they are the ones that want to hire you. You do have a little power here. Not a lot, but some. Number 9, how to have a good balance between life and work. For starters, you should always try to get up every 45 minutes. Maybe try to put an alarm in the computer. But it's very important for you to have some blood flowing in your legs. You don't want to have problems when you're older. Look at me, I'm 41 years old, and because I neglected this, I now have a sciatica back problem. And it is my own fault. I've been sitting incorrectly for the past 20 years. Don't be like this guy or like this one. Don't be all crooked in your chair. Try to have a good posture. And obviously buy a good chair. If you work in a company, you probably can even ask them if they can get you a good chair. This is always going to be one of your best investments. Also try to get a good monitor with some options for flicker-free technology. You don't want to have problems with your eyes later on. Try not to work more than 8 hours a day. There's so many studies out there already proving that it's not beneficial for your health, and it's not even good for your attention span. Just try to go home after 8 hours. Go and rest. Come back the next day. Remember, it's just a commercial. It's just a film. Rest your eyes. Try to do some focusing exercises. A monitor is a really flat surface. There's really no depth of field inside of it. So this means you're going to be looking at it for several hours and your eyes will be fixed in one single focal point. Try these simple exercises once in a while. Look at different objects at different distances. As someone that had a lot of problems with my eyes, in fact, I even suffered from optical nerve damage because of these things. Make sure you treat them correctly. Go and have an eye exam. They are by far your biggest asset. You don't want to look like me. I was like a pirate for several months. I had to even have an eye patch for a while. No matter what, just remember, this is just another job. It's not worth dying for. Make sure you spend time with your family, your pets, with your friends. These are the really important things in your life. And you're going to regret it if you're not around for it. You need to go to the gym and try to exercise. Maybe try to ride a bike. Maybe walk to work. Get a hobby outside the visual effects world. Maybe collect stamps, maybe play some video games, watch some films, take photos, go cave diving, do some judo, do some kung fu, go dancing. Whatever you do, do something else than just visual effects in your life. Number 10, understand the pipeline. You need to understand you're not alone in a company. There's other people around you. You have supervisors, you have producers, you have sequence leads, you have other artists. All these people are working together. Most of the time, they're waiting for your work to be finished. It's all a team effort. There's a lot of crossover between different departments, between the 3D and the 2D department, between seniors, mid-level, juniors. Think of a company like a big boat. It's all interconnected. If there's a problem, it's all gonna go down. Follow the rules. Make sure you don't make any new folders or different naming conventions. Each company will have its own pipeline and they will teach you all of it. Follow the documentation. Ask questions. If you're stuck, ask your supervisor for help. And remember, as much as you try to follow a procedure, it will probably never go according to plan. You can try to have the perfect scenario, but it will always be like this. Especially now, these days, all departments are working at the same time and at the same speed. In the wise words of Leonard Snart on The Flash,
there are only 4 rules you need to remember. Make the plan, execute the plan, expect the plan to go off the rails, throw away the plan. Follow my lead and you'll be fine.
don't be too precious. Working in visual effects is all about flexibility. There will always be last-minute changes that could be badly communicated to production. There could be a rush that could lead to mistakes. And then at the end, you're gonna feel like you want to kill yourself if there's a problem. But whatever you do, keep calm. Your supervisors are not there to terrorize you. They're there to help you. They will give you feedback. Don't take it to heart. Learn to compromise. Learn to listen to other people's opinions and find a middle ground, just like this cake. It's a wedding cake, but also a Batman cake. How cool is that? Sometimes you need to try to read the mind of the client. But don't forget, the client doesn't know anything about these technical terms. Most of the time, the client thinks a pan is every camper's move. Learn their language. Try to communicate with them in a way they understand. You need to talk with a creative and emotional language. Also, don't forget that there's always a budget. No matter what the client asks you, they might not have money for this task. And even if there's a lot of fire around you, always keep calm. There's other people there to help you. Do not panic. Everything is going to be fine. There's always a way to solve problems. Just be positive. Number 11, should I quality control my work?
You should get to the point where anyone else would quit, and you're not gonna stop there!
Yes, learn to QC your work by yourself. Zoom in, then zoom in more, then zoom in even more. You need to understand that on every time you do a daily, especially on film, they're gonna be zooming in a lot, sometimes 500%, sometimes 800%. You need to make sure you look at the pixel level, look at all the edges, all the little fine detail. Everything has to look perfect. Otherwise, you're gonna have a lot of heat from your supervisor. They're going to be pointing at the screen saying, what the hell is that? Number 12, should I keep updating myself?
If you're tired of starting over, stop giving up.
This industry is always changing. You need to constantly update yourself, otherwise you're going to be left behind. You don't want to be that old dude on the company, always constantly behind. You need to always be on top of everything. Go back to school. Every so often do an online training. Maybe even try evening courses. Always try to look ahead and see what's the next big software. Go to a lot of events and festivals. Don't just network and drink and all those things, but also watch keynotes, be inspired. Try to learn what's gonna come, what's around the corner. Read books about artificial intelligence, machine learning, color theory, lighting, photography. Buy art of books. They are filled with inspiration, with new artists, new concepts. You want a list? Feel free to ask me in the comments below. In conclusion, remember, you've chosen to be a VFX artist, so you'll probably never be able to watch a film ever again without disconstructing everything, without looking at the atmospherics, the water, how beautiful the caustics are. Working in the industry is gonna ruin movies forever. But that's okay, you'll have a deeper knowledge of filmmaking and you will become a better artist, even if you're gonna be the only person out there without a tan. Don't forget, every time you read visual effects artist in a sentence, if you remove some of the words, you're always left with the word art. And that is it for me today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave a like and some comments below. I would love to know what you think. Maybe drop some questions. Please don't forget to subscribe to Hugo's Desk and support my channel on Patreon. Also make sure to ring the little notification bell. I would like to thank the lovely people at ActionVFX for supporting and sponsoring this video. I'll see you next time at Hugo's Desk. Goodbye and stay positive.